So hi everyone. Few weeks back, I reviewed the movie Devdas. Not reviewed, like I viewed it, like for time pass. And in general, the perspective is the boy who is called Devdas in our society and all. So he is a boy who has been betrayed by someone, or who has, you know, in general perspective, it is that Devdas loved a girl, Paro, and she got married to someone else, due to which Devdas got addicted to alcohol and developed various diseases and finally died on the gate of Paro's husband's house. And Devdas, despite of being from such a rich family, became good for nothing. So first of all, my views became different when from the beginning you watched the movie. Devdas was such a fickle-minded person. When Paro was very sure about their relationship, it was Devdas who was never sure. He wanted to make everyone happy, like his mother, father, and थोड़ा बहुत बच गया तो पारो को भी. तो उसके बाद how Paro was being continuously ill-treated and dishonored in his house, and despite of that he used to keep mum. He used to never take side of Paro, but it was Paro who got unlucky every time, because she used to face the wrath, the violence of Devdas all the time. And finally the wrath, Paro's mother decided to get Paro married to some Thakur of a big haveli, and she becomes Thakurine. But that Thakur was like so much aged, and was of so much aged that his daughter was Paro's age. So this was a great, this was a great trauma for Paro as well. Must have been, like if you compare it with the real life scenarios. So Paro was the most unluckiest person, not Devdas, and the hero of this novel, on which several other films Devdas are made, should be Paro and not Devdas, because it was Devdas who messed everything up. He, despite of having so many chances to say yes to Paro and get her in his life, and finally making his parents adjust to Paro's life, and Paro's past, and not Paro's past, but Paro's like ancestral past, he himself was not sure, and he himself was always showing Paro that he kind of, he never gave direct answers to Paro, and was already was a fickle-minded person. He himself, I think, was unsure of what is going on between him and Paro, and Paro was very sure, and Paro was madly in love, but not Devdas, and due to which Paro was always a dedicated person in love. And then what happened is that man, after messing his and Paro's life, Paro being such a strong character that she dedicated her life to Devdas, but then after so many of her efforts, when Devdas decides that, when Devdas still doesn't commit to her properly, and was always trapped, kind of, we can say that he was trapped in between his family and Paro. But if Devdas was a strong-headed person, he would have definitely decided in the very beginning that either he wants to leave Paro or keep Paro. So not keep as in keep Paro as his love interest or wife. So but no, he always was a fickle-minded person. He don't want to lose from here and there, and this kind of fickle-minded person, and he knew that he was the only son, and if possible, he could have really convinced his parents for his relationship with Paro. But no, but he wants to become an ideal son who does whatever his parents told him. But at the same time, he forgot that Paro was also a human being who needed a commitment, who needed a closure, who needed everything, but she was not getting anything. After years of being madly in love, when Paro finally decides to move on, and that too not was a happy move on, it was just for the sake of money. She was getting married to a person who was almost double his age. Then on the day of her barat, he comes and again asks Paro to come along with him. Now, thinking that Paro is already a fool, which she was all these years, he thinks that Paro will come now, no? Because Paro obeys every command of his. But Paro didn't come. And then also he does violence with her. And in the movie it was shown, violence with her, like Chand mein daag padane ki koshish she was doing. And then finally, after when this was happening, finally what happens is, when Bharat was there, and still Paro asked him to, okay, if you want me, then let's get married, let's ask your parents to get a commitment. But no, he came so that Paro just cancels the wedding and stops to move on. So this kind of fickle-minded person, who was destroying Paro's life and my mental well-being like anything since long, doesn't even want her to move on, and instead was guilt-tripping her when she was getting married to someone who is at least ready to accept Paro as his wife, lawfully wedded wife rather. So this was the negative characteristics of Devdas, which often goes unnoticed in most of our eyes, because whenever we see some boy getting betrayed by a girl, we often say that he is becoming a Devdas or something. But let me tell you, it was Paro who was getting betrayed again and again and again. Not like betrayed, like being cheated on with other girl or something, but she was getting betrayed mentally, she was getting betrayed emotionally and psychologically. Her psyche was made in such a way that she always was given some false hopes that they will come and they will come, and they never used to come. So when this has happened, I have already okay, when this has also happened, and then he become a drunkard and an alcoholic, and finally Paro was married to a man who married Paro just for the sake of becoming Haveli Thakurain and not for other purposes. Paro was also, because she was dedicated to Dev for so many years, she still wanted to know from people that what is Dev up to. And when she come to know that he has become so ill, through Chandramukhi she comes to know that he has become so ill and whatever his condition was. So whatever he comes to know, then also in Chandramukhi's heart also, and it is often Devdas was again and again being portrayed as the hero of the story. So what he was being portrayed as was that Devdas, Devdas Babu is so good. Chandramukhi always used to tell Paro that Devdas Babu was so good, and so this and so that. So yeah, this is always being portrayed, and I wonder why it is being portrayed in this manner. How can you promote such a toxic personality like Devdas, who was such a toxic person, who never cared about anyone but himself, and not even his parents, because even if you have to care about your parents, when Paro was married, you could have accepted it and become a good son to your parents, but you lost them also, and you lost her also, and you make Paro guilt tripped for her entire life. And then also it was shown that all the guys whom Devdas met were praising him, because maybe possible that Devdas was not a bad person by intent, but it is not always your intent which matters. Of course, intent is the best thing which can matter to anyone, but your intent is good, but your actions are not such. But your actions are always such drastically, I should say, downgrading for others, then it doesn't matter actually. So what happened is, in the end also, I didn't like the ending, that when Devdas was dying and everybody called Paro that Devdas is dying at your doorsteps. So Paro, again, for being the madly in love girl which she was, she ran towards the door to see. But what she got was always opposition from her in-laws side, because her in-laws were quite orthodox, and nobody, even in today's world, will allow nobody means maximum percentage of people of our country at least will not allow anyone, like especially the daughter-in-law, to go in search of her lover or something. So when Devdas was dying, and she wasn't allowed to go there, and then also it was shown that okay, Paro couldn't meet, and Devdas finally dies, and after Devdas dies, again there is a lot of sympathy which is being created in us that oh, poor Devdas died. But okay, it shows whenever a person goes into the addiction, it is generally the fact that that person was mentally a bit weak than others, because he couldn't control himself by himself. Everybody faces that in life, and here Paro, after bearing his toxicity for too much of time, Paro didn't become an addict. Paro got married to someone. She was not happy in that home too, but still she was living respectfully over there and bearing all that traumas that she has to bear in her in-laws' house as well. And in the end, this poor fellow dies, and that too after dishonoring Paro in front of everybody, that okay, Thakurain's lover is dying in front of her doorsteps, on her doorsteps, and this Thakurain is running in order to rescue her lover or something. So this way, Paro once again dishonored in front of everyone. He too dies, and again so much sympathy is created for him that poor guy died. And then after Paro wasn't able to see him in the end, it was shown the cry and the wrath Paro faces. And if it was a real story, and it was, of course it is a novel, it is adopted from a novel, but if it would have been in real, then of course if a person whom you loved died on your doorsteps, and you weren't able to pay him or her even the last of the rites, then it's a lot of guilt trip which people goes through, and Paro was given that also by her beloved Devdas. So this is what the characteristic of Devdas which I have judged, and this is true because he was never able to decide. Then when he decided, then also he was not sure, and then when he was not sure, and when Paro just went on, because he was a person who doesn't want to leave anything and always want to keep Paro in his psychological trap, but Paro went. So what that guy did is he started drinking alcohol, and that consumption made him so much diseased. And then even he didn't take care of his parents also. His parents were also left alone. Paro was also left saddened, and he too was destroying his life himself by drinking too much, and then finally falling ill to several diseases like tuberculosis. Finally, when this has happened, when he was dying also, he couldn't die peacefully, and neither could help Paro living peacefully, and he died on her doorsteps, making her guilt trip once again. So yeah, this is what Devdas used to do. It may be from Devdas' perspective, it was like, array, what could I have done? I was always confused between Paro and that. But what was Paro's fault in that? If you were a confused person, then finally when you started drinking alcohol, even after being an adult, you couldn't decide for yourself and fell prey to such intoxications, then it's totally your fault. It's 90% your fault only, and 10% the circumstances fault. Finally, you always had a choice to leave your alcohol consumption, but you didn't leave that. And finally, when you were done having that, you tried to show that you loved Paro so much that you wanted to die on her doorsteps, and finally you died. So Yeah, in his perspective it can be called love, but that love which is so confused, better not to have that in your life. So I think that from Devdas we get two lessons. One, don't be a fool like Paro, and two, don't be a fickle-minded and confused person like Devdas, who is messing around with everyone's life and finally dying himself, but everybody else's life around him is totally messed up. Whose reason is directly indirectly is Devdas. Paro's fault was just that she was madly in love with, she was dedicated to her lover, but nothing else. But she also couldn't think clearly when she always had Devdas. The only kind of practical decision she took, not practical, I should say, only kind of practical decision she took was to wherever she was married. Of course, she was married not forcefully, but she was married to a aged person, very aged person. But what decision she took was, when she was in her in-laws' house, she tried to willfully deliver all her duties as a Tagorian. So this is what the practical. She stayed strong. Internally, she also broke, but she externally was doing all her duties well, and she never fell prey. Despite of facing so much wrath and toxicity by Devdas, she never fell prey to any intoxicants and all. Even Devdas' friend Chuni Lal also got rid of his bad habit of drinking, but Devdas fell ill and ill and ill to that. So the youth should get the message that not to be like Devdas. Thank you. I hope you will think upon it, and yes, please keep watching my channel. I know Devdas is such a old movie. It came when I was like 4 or 5 years old, but yes, whenever I watch it, I feel nothing but a little anguish for Devdas. Thank you.